Do you feel like you're always on a diet yet you never lose weight? Have you tortured yourself with restrictive eating plans when you've had a social occasion like a wedding or a holiday, yet as soon as that event arrives, you gain all the weight back? If so, you have fallen victim to fad dieting. So what is a fad diet? A very short description would be, it's popular, but like any fad, it's short-lived. Think about the diets that John or Jess in the office talk about when you go in and they've lost 5 pounds and they say, oh, I jumped on this diet that I saw on XYZ influencers page, or someone on a morning talk show came on because they'd lost 5 or 10 pounds and then they've jumped on this diet and it's worked for them. But the question is Joe or Jess in the office going to maintain that weight loss? Because 9 times out of 10, if you look back at them in 3 or 4 months, they've gained it all back. This is fad dieting. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can spot a fad diet so that you can avoid it. I'm also going to tell you the dangers of fad dieting to make sure that you don't fall victim to this yourself. And then finally, I will tell you what you can do instead. I feel that I'm uniquely qualified to tell this story because I'm a personal trainer who works with people around weight loss every single day. But on top of that, I myself have done multiple fad diets over the years. I have yo-yoed and everything in between. So this gives me a unique insight which I feel could be beneficial to you. Anyway, let's get into it. So part 1, how to spot a fad diet. Okay, so anything that reduces your calorie intake to unsustainable levels, in other words, you're starving yourself, fad diet. Anything that relies on you purchasing supplements that you can get at a special discount rate, fad diet. Is it endorsed by a celebrity? Fad diet. Does the marketing contain the words cleanse, detox, or shred? Fad diet. Anything that promises extremely fast results yet has no recommendations for what to do once the diet itself is over? Fad diet. Anything that's too good to be true. Think you can get the Hollywood body in 4 weeks? Think again. Fad diet. Fad diets are an easy way for marketers to prey on your desire for a quick result. And what's worse is they do it when you're vulnerable already. But the even worse part of all of this is that fad diets, not only do they not work most of the time, but they can also be extremely damaging. How do fad diets cause harm? Rebound weight gain. You are much more likely to rebound and go even heavier than you were before you started the diet after a fad diet. The hormones in your body are literally primed for weight gain after a period of starvation, so remember that. Extended periods of undereating will negatively affect hormones, mood, sex drive, concentration, essentially making you a less effective human. Fad diets create false limiting beliefs around weight loss. For example, I need to cut carbohydrates entirely to lose weight. No, that is not true. You do not need to cut carbohydrates entirely to lose weight. Sure, some people do that and it's effective for them, and that's great if that works, but don't be fooled into thinking that this is the only way you can lose weight. By promising unreasonably fast results, these diets fool people into thinking that the unrealistic and dangerous is actually possible. So now you know how to spot a fad diet, but what approach should you take to weight loss? So what can you do instead? We need to understand the 2 core principles that lie behind any successful diet and how you can implement them into your own lifestyle. So the 2 things that any diet that works needs to have in place are a calorie deficit and sustainability. Now, when I say sustainability, I don't mean you should be able to sustain it forever. A calorie deficit by its very nature would be unsustainable indefinitely because you would get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier and you would fade away into nothing. But you need to be able to sustain that deficit long enough to lose the weight that you want to lose, and then you can come back into maintenance mode. Okay, so firstly, we'll deal with a calorie deficit. What exactly is a calorie deficit? In simple terms, a calorie deficit is just when you are burning off more calories throughout the day than you are taking in. Okay, so how do you get into a calorie deficit? First, you need to know how many calories you're burning in a day, and then you need to eat less than that. It's very simple, but people make it extremely complicated. You need to know your TDEE, which is your total daily energy expenditure. There's no way of finding out this exactly, but you can use apps or websites to give you an estimate, and that is all we need. So go away and get your estimate. Once you have that, you need to subtract from it to create a deficit. So if your TDEE, or total daily energy expenditure, is 2,500, you need to subtract from that. Roughly 20% is the typical suggestion, and that's backed up by scientists and experts. So for example, a man eating 2,500 calories at maintenance would subtract 500 to be in a 20% deficit, meaning his new target calorie intake would be 2,000 calories a day. Once you've established this, you have your deficit, and then you can use various different apps like MyFitnessPal to track the calories of what you're eating and hit your target number. Okay, so you know how many calories you need to eat to be in a deficit, but how do you actually stick to that long enough to get results? In some sense, this is the crux of this video, and it's very, very personal to you. You need to decide yourself what you will and won't stick to. If you're a person that loves carbohydrates, then don't go on ketogenic diet or the Atkins diet just because Joe or Jane at the office did it and it worked for them. That's not going to work for you. And the same thing would apply to all the other different facets of nutrition and food. If you don't like skipping breakfast, don't do intermittent fasting. The list goes on and on and on, but ultimately you need to make decisions that work with your lifestyle. If you love eating out and you eat out with your family every Friday and it's a tradition, don't do a plan that doesn't allow for that. You're never going to stick to it long enough. If you have an active social life, then certain diets are probably going to be unrealistic there as well. Everyone is different, and what you will be able to stick to is not the same as what someone else will be able to stick to. So you need to empower yourself, you need to take charge, you need to actually think about this and come up with a tailored plan that will work for you. And to do that, you just need to understand the principles: calorie deficit, sustainability. With those two things in mind, you will be able to create something that works for you. With that said, I'm going to give you a few pointers and a few tips of certain strategies that have helped me and my clients find sustainability within the diets that we've used in the past. Number one would be a focus on protein. Protein is the most filling macronutrient, and studies even show that people who focus on protein automatically eat less calories throughout the day. So a heavy focus on protein will help you to stay in a calorie deficit. On top of that, if you're interested in body composition and strength and things like that, you want to maintain muscle tissue as you lose fat tissue. Most of the time when we talk about weight loss, we really mean fat loss, right? We don't want to lose muscle, we want to lose fat, and we want to keep muscle so that we look leaner, stronger, fitter, more athletic. So a focus on protein is something that's worth considering if you want to make your deficit sustainable. Another little quick thing on protein before I go on for too long is protein has the highest thermogenic effect of any food, which means just by digesting it, you burn more calories than you might for carbs or fats. Number two, whole foods. You want to focus on eating whole, natural foods most of the time. This doesn't mean that you can't have any processed foods at all. It just means that the majority of your diet should be focused on whole foods. They're more filling, they're full of more nutrients, they keep you healthier, and we just see that people who focus on whole foods generally have better success when losing weight. Number three, don't create a calorie deficit so extreme that it's unsustainable and that you feel like shit. That is not the way you want to go. You want to create a moderate deficit. Extreme deficits are not really conducive to the everyday person's attempts to lose weight. They'll trash your hormones, they'll make you feel like shit, and they are the reason most people's diets fail miserably. Number four, do not remove entire food groups. I want to quickly clarify, I've got nothing against the ketogenic diet, and I know it's extremely useful in clinical application and that a lot of people have success with it. However, in my experience, people just cannot stick to this for long enough to see results in 90% of cases. Removing an entire food group, particularly carbohydrates, just means that so many things are now limited, and it's actually quite hard when you're out and about or doing various other things to stick to a diet like this. So in my opinion, do not do something so restrictive if you're looking to stick to something over a long period of time. Number 5, allow wiggle room for socializing and social occasions. If you want to stick to this thing long enough to see results, and it's going to take 2 or 3 months, you absolutely should not be depriving yourself of any social interaction. I've seen people do this, and it's actually not healthy. Our social life is as much a part of our health as our diet, so find a way that you can still see friends and family and stick to your diet. Of course, you're not going to be able to get the chocolate cake with ice cream and have everything that you want when you go to a restaurant, but most restaurants will have a healthy option. There's definitely ways that you can incorporate your social life into this diet without making a big deal of it. Number 6, accountability. Find friends and family that are going to support you, hire a personal trainer, join an online community. There's so many ways these days to get that accountability. It can't be overstated just how powerful accountability is. This will be massively helpful and will help you stay on track long enough so that you can see results, because the truth is, diets and calorie deficits, they're not always easy. While they can be simple sometimes, that doesn't mean they're easy, and you will need all the help you can get if you're going to stick to this thing. Finally, thank you very much for watching. New to YouTube, as you can probably tell, so anyone's got any suggestions or ideas, please hit me in the comments, and good luck with your weight loss journey.